If you're a Dallas Cowboy, you can't be whining and moaning about that.
They haven't won a Super Bowl since before you were born.
That's right.
Okay?
Why are you guys saying that he's running from it? And first of all,
he didn't talk to the media all last week.
Okay, that's
no,
good.
he was explaining why he did it. What that sound, that sound
okay.
right there.
So
he was explaining why he ran
so
over.
you're saying he's not by not speaking to the media that he's running from.
You don't get to pick and choose. As a reporter,
I thought
you do
that's what
not
he was
get to
talking
pick and
about.
choose
It's not about the
when
media.
you talk
It's what
to.
he was saying, though. It's what he was saying.
I thought you were talking about this. Bring the same energy. I thought that's what you're talking about.
He's saying that he was upset after the win because we didn't hold the 49ers accountable.
Yes, that's what I'm speaking to. He's right.
I'm saying,
we don't bring the same energy. It's 100% right, Stephen A. We don't bring the same energy when the Eagles lose to the Jets.
Most teams don't bring the same energy to Cowboys in their fan base win.
But the expectations are supposed to be even higher for Philly. He's just pointing out a hypocrisy.
No, it's not.
He's 100% right.
You're totally wrong. You're totally wrong.
Are you kidding me?
The Philadelphia Eagles, when's the last time the Philadelphia Eagles won a Super Bowl?
2017.
How about that? Was the last time Dallas Cowboys won a Super Bowl?
1995.
That Micah Parsons, wasn't even I hate when you guys hold the history against.
No.
When you hold the history against Micah Parsons. What happened in the 90s has nothing to do with him.
Because Micah has no recollection of 1995. It was before he was born. Yeah. But he has to understand when you put the star on, everything that comes with it, part of why there's so much attention around this team, why people get so frustrated about this team, is that they have great rosters and they find ways to still not meet expectations. That is part of the history. You can't run from that.
Listen,
go ahead.
There's not other teams that don't.
Let me address Molly, and I'm very serious when I say this.
Go for it.
We're number one.
Yeah.
You, me, any of us.
Yeah.
The attention that we get wouldn't exist if we weren't.
Correct.
It comes with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could sit up there and lament the fact that it may not be fair, but it's our reality.
Okay, and you never call things out, and you never clap back, because I know for a fact that you do.
But I like to.
Okay, so Micah Parsons likes to too. That's his jam. It's not my jam. It's yours and it's Micah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he's pointing to the fact that other people didn't get the same smoke. That's not what I do. That's not what you do. We accept the smoke that comes with being at the top of the heap.
There you go.
We accept it.
Yeah.
You don't sit up there and whine about it. This is what it is. And you either want it or you don't. That's what it is. Go play for someone else other than the Cowboys.
Holy cow, there was so much wrong with that. First of all, let me go ahead and just address the crap that the analysts had to say as it pertained to the Cowboys. As you saw, I didn't make y'all have to suffer through too many of the bad, overran, overused takes that people like Maria Taylor and Damian Woody and Dan Orlovsky like to use. Maria Taylor, first things first, please stop clapping your hands together like you have no home training just because you're trying to make a point. You're making our women look bad out here. Second of all, you sound like a Dollar General Stephen A. Smith regurgitating the same talking lines that the ESPN producers are clearly feeding you, because anytime all you can do is revert back to, you haven't won a championship in 30 years. That means you have no legs to stand on. So take your noodle legs, take your middle school teenage black girl clapping boo-boo act on, and go develop your actual takes, your actual analysis, and get some actual substance to your retort before you stand up here in this town hall meeting and just make yourself look like a complete clown. Even your own co-host couldn't stand to hear the same regurgitated BS that came out of your mouth. As soon as you started talking, the sewage that flowed out of your throat made Molly have to turn her head before she threw up all over your face over your disgusting take.
They haven't won a Super Bowl since before you were born.
That's right.
Damian Woody, you're not relevant enough to really even talk about you, bro. All you had to say was, why are you running from the smoke? Don't run from the smoke. I can tell you literally didn't even watch or hear what Micah Parsons even had to say. It had nothing to do with running away from smoke. He was just trying to figure out how you guys make it possible to watch the same game film that's available to everyone by way of the NFL Plus app and the All 22 film. You can watch the same game film available to everyone, but yet you guys seem to evaluate film differently when it comes to the Cowboys instead of looking at what's actually going on the field. The star on the side of their helmet has nothing to do with how they're actually playing and what's actually happening with the plays and what's actually happening with the schemes and what's actually happening with the execution of said plays. That's the point that Micah Parsons is trying to make. He understands you guys are going to cover them out off the field. You guys are going to microanalyze things that they have to say. You guys are going to microanalyze how they're moving, how they're walking, their body language. He understands all that. What part of this don't you get that he's not talking about that? He's talking about how you analyze, evaluate, and teach. That's the biggest part that everyone is missing about all of this. ESPN is a network that is literally on in the majority of American households at some point or another during the day. It's literally stuck on airports, bars, everywhere you go. ESPN is one of the default networks that you see. That means ESPN has an immense amount of influence, and with that influence comes responsibility. You see how I turned around your own concept on you when you talk about with great praise comes criticism, with the star comes this. Well, with great influence, it comes the responsibility to responsibly report about the sport that people are trying to depend on you to learn about. That is the core problem with all of this, is now you guys have turned this so much into an entertainment fest. You guys have turned this so much into WWE that you're not even talking about what's actually happening on the field anymore. You're trying to figure out the most creative way to call one of the players out of their name, or the most creative way to make it seem like one of these players are playing much worse than they actually are, and you're not actually breaking down the game anymore. You're going for the lowest hanging fruit. You're not actually seeing what caused the play to break down. You're not teaching the audience what's going on in the plays, what kind of scheme concepts they're running, what's going on in general. You're not doing that anymore. You're applying your own emotional biases against the Cowboys. And you can hear, if you watch this full segment, bro, which I don't recommend you do, but you can hear that this is clearly based in emotional bias. They make a comment about being forced to watch the Cowboys for the last 30 years and every year on Thanksgiving. Bro, that has nothing to do with us. That has nothing to do with Cowboy fans. That has nothing to do with the players. We're here just like all of y'all are, so you can't hold something that foolish against the fan base. You can't hold something that foolish against the team and how you go about evaluating them, because you developed a personal and emotional bias against this team because you didn't want to watch this team have to play. That is your bad. What it sounds like is a bunch of spoiled, upset children grew up and became media members and decided, I'm going to make a concerted effort to provide as much negative coverage as I possibly can about this team because I got tired of watching them as a kid. That's what all of this actually sounds like. And Dan Orlovsky, you're not going to sit up here on national television and lie to us about what it is that we know we have heard you guys talking about. You can't just simply come up here and be like, oh, we criticized the Cowboys and we praised them too. You guys find any reason possible not to praise the Cowboys. After wins, you're criticizing and trying to critique and break down things that you think went wrong during a win. After losses, you're making a big scene. You're wearing outfits. You're coming in full clown gear to ridicule the fan base and the players. Dan Orlovsky, you can't just act like the fan base just woke up today and they're watching First Take for the very first time. We've seen what these clown shows have been doing. We've seen what First Take, Speak, Undisputed, all these shows have been doing as it pertains to the Dallas Cowboys.
So, like, there's
people were mopping Dak's jersey.
That's wrong.
That's
wrong.
Okay, so that's the kind of things that they deal with.
No,
so
Bobby,
it is
there's people burning Carson Wentz jerseys 4 years ago in Philadelphia.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
We can go tit for tat, but you're not going to sit here, as for me, as the host of First Take, you're not going to sit here and tell me that they don't take more criticism.
They do.
Of course.
Okay.
But they get more praise.
But, okay.
Molly Qerim was the only person smart enough on this panel to actually grasp the true conversation that Micah Parsons was trying to have, and that's the fact that you guys are evaluating the game differently just based off of them being the Dallas Cowboys and then other teams. You don't do that. That's not what it means to be a Dallas Cowboy, to have the star in your helmet. Have you guys ever thought that maybe you as the national media are the ones that have it wrong? And to that point, Stephen A. Smith revealed something kind of interesting during his town hall meeting, because he showed us, bro, he's all about chasing the dollar bill. He has an interesting focus on the endorsement opportunities and the money that Dallas Cowboys are able to make. And he actually went out of his way to bring this up as if it actually had anything to do with what Micah Parsons was talking about. Stephen A. Smith, where did this random point come from?
You know how much money they make in endorsements? You know how many opportunities come their way because they're wearing that star on the helmet? Why do you think Jerry Jones is hard with the negotiations? He's saying, wait a minute, I understand what you bring as a player, but wearing this star, being a part of this franchise, do you have any idea the opportunities that come your way because you represent this franchise?
Of course,
there are
but
benefits that come with
guess what, Stephen A? Both things can be true. There can be hypocrisy, and there can be benefits to playing for the Cowboys.
But what makes it hypocritical?
Yeah.
What makes it hypocritical is when you have a low-budget, low-rate, terrible former NFL quarterback who's never won anything or done anything substantial in the National Football League come on national TV and defend one quarterback for the very same thing that another quarterback has accomplished or done or is doing. That's when it becomes hypocritical. Dan Orlovsky, we've seen you time after time defend quarterback after quarterback over Dak Prescott, make excuses for quarterback after quarterback. You made excuses for Carson Wentz. You were making excuses for Justin Herbert. You made excuses for pretty much every quarterback that looks like you. Let's be real.
Because we don't clown and we don't dance and do all the things when they lose to the Jets. We don't do that for Philly. In Philly, you could argue the expectations were higher. They were in the Super Bowl last year.
Because Philly's fan base isn't as annoying as the Cowboys fan base.
He's 100% right. So he has a podcast. If he wants to talk about it, talk about it.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with it's right.
Have you guys ever thought about maybe you guys are the one that have actually lost your way a little bit? That have misunderstood the meaning of what it means to be an analyst, the meaning of what it means to be entertaining on TV. Have you guys ever thought to take the responsibility for what the national media has become nowadays? Because I fully remember back in the days of Stuart Scott and Chris Berman and all these other guys, they didn't have to do all of this. Yes, they would report on the ugly stuff. Yes, they would report on the stuff that may have been negative, but it wasn't with all this pageantry and almost seething and fiending for something negative to happen. They were more excited to talk about a 61 or 81 point game dropped by Kobe Bryant than they were to talk about some drama. And that's the whole point. The national media has lost their way. The national media has gone to this TMZ route where they're trying to find anything and manufacture anything negative about the players, the game, whatever they can to essentially influence the people watching their programs to believe the contrived BS that they're coming up with. And that's the problem. You have kids echoing the same uninformed sentiments that you guys are blurting out on TV. You have fully grown man children going around echoing the same sentiments that you guys are blurting out on TV. That's the issue. That's what Micah Parsons was speaking to. Molly Qerim was 100% right. And Stephen A. Smith, you need to be less worried about trying to figure out how ways you can control the Cowboys and more worried about ways you can avoid that HR meeting that you're soon going to have, because ever since you got your own platform, you've been kind of wilding out on ESPN, saying some very inappropriate stuff to your co-hosts.
That's Molly's cell phone thing, by the way. The bottom line is video vibrating. I try to say ring. Do you want me to say vibrating on the air? You always like me mentioning vibrating on the air on your phone. You really want me to do that? When will you say vibrating on your phone with your phone? I said ring it. Just go with the ring. Go with the ring, Molly. Go with the ring. I'm trying to avoid the vibrating.
That had nothing to do with.
I'm trying to avoid getting fired. I'm just saying. Then I said ring. Then I said ring.
Stephen A., this isn't the Stephen A. Smith show on YouTube, all right? Disney.
And see, that's the bigger issue in all of this, bro. I don't think any of these players have issues with you guys criticizing them, talking about the game, or any of that. They don't care about the media doing their job. I think they have an issue when they start to realize that the media, the national media in particular, is a large component in the misinformation and the trolling that has become like the standard version of talking and speaking to each other in sports talk. The players are tired of it, bro. Tyreek Hill recently defended Tua over this. Micah Parsons is tired of it. Mike McCarthy has come out and discussed how just ridiculous it's gotten. A lot of people are actually tired of the media contributing to this environment of misinformation, vitriol, and just hatred towards the players. And I, for one, I stand with my Cowboys. I understand exactly what they're getting at here. And this town hall meeting did nothing to make ESPN look good because none of these guys actually addressed what the actual issue was that Michael Parsons originally was trying to discuss. They all just went back to the old cue card discussions that they're told to have by their producers as it pertains to the Cowboys. You haven't been to the Super Bowl in 30 years. Blah, 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 blah. We know that has nothing to do with you guys being bad at your job. Either way, y'all know how I always end these videos, how them Cowboys. Go ahead, take it away, Pastor.
Oh, I'm still them boys, I'm still